Hi Scrappers, I'm Alice Funk and I'm going to show you the Floral Peaks Border Punch. I had to think about that. It is not a border maker, it is a border punch and it looks like this and it's going to punch the side of your paper. But I'm going to show you a couple of tricks with this border punch. So let me go to my tabletop. I'm going to show you how to do a border, a double border. So normally this punch would touch your border as so. But when you fold your paper and put it in, and I'm going to show you a trick to doing that, it's going to make this beautiful double-edged border. So let me put that aside. And there's another really cool trick to punching around the outside. This is not a frame punch. This is just a border punch. So it's only going to cut one edge nicely for you, unless you can figure out and configure how to do around the edge. I'm going to show you a little trick on making this super easy. So what you're going to do, let me just get my papers off my tabletop. You're going to take a thin piece of decorative paper and you're going to fold it in half and fold it in half again. Now, because this is going to be thick in your punch may stick a little. And if that happens, what you want to do is give it a little tap. So if you hear me tapping my punch, don't panic. It really does cut very nicely. See how it does that? But by folding it, you now have 4 layers of paper that are going through this punch. Yes, that can jam it up. So I'm going to punch my punch. It didn't pop all the way up. You can give it a tap on your tabletop and it'll release and come away. So now when it punches, you can see there's a little notch up here and then your decorative piece. If you look on the edge of the border punch, there's the decorative edge that you're going to line up. It's a little hard to see here. And there's a little notch there. And you want to follow that notch. That notch is easier to line up than anything else. So I put it back in. I'm going to move the paper over to where, so I can see where I punched and line it up with that decorative piece along the tray here. And that's going to show you exactly where to punch. Again, if it jams, just give it a little tap, it'll release, and then you can move it over one more time. So I'm going to move it over, line up that notch, line up my decorative pieces, punch, keep moving the excess paper out from underneath because that will end up getting jammed in your punch. So here we move this over to exactly line up. Punch one more time. That time it went right through. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it back in the center and I'm going to move it the other way and follow the tray on the other side. Same lineup, same distance. And the reason they have it on both sides is so that you can go either way. If you're lefty or righty and want to move it a certain way. So I pull it over. Remember that slam, or it's not really a slam, it just sounds loud. I punch it. If it doesn't release, like I said, sometimes it doesn't release because you have a lot of buildup underneath or because the paper's so thick. When you're punching, this would never work with cardstock only because cardstock is a heavy paper. And that the heavier the paper, if you're folding it and putting it in there, it's going to be a little difficult to get through. So now I've punched through the 4 layers by folding it. When I open it up, I'm just going to get a solid here so you can see this on a solid. I'm going to open it up. Hold it a little the other way just so I don't have such a major crease in there. And I'm going to open it up again. Oh, look how pretty this is going to look. And then I can put it on my page just like that. Is that pretty? Oh my gosh, I love it. You can even do the other side, whatever you prefer. I love this with the limes. This is from our National Scrapbook Day pack. Also, what you could do is cut a square out of the center, gut it out, which I've taught in some of my other videos and flip it over. And that's what I did on this one. It was white on one side and this decorative piece on the other, but I wanted that white doily look around the edge. So I just cut a square out of the center of the piece of paper and flipped it over. So pretty, such a pretty edge. Now, I want to show you the double border that you can make with this punch. And let me just get rid of all this extra debris because we don't need that floating around my room. My under my table always looks like it's full of confetti. So I would love to show you this one now. This is, I'm going to flip it over so you can see the other, it looks a little, you can see it better with it being white on the mat. So to make this one, you want to cut a strip of paper at 2.5 inches wide. So I'm going to cut this 2.5 inches wide with my great Creative Memories trimmer. And then I'm going to take this piece of paper and you can just fold it in half. I love to use my scoring blade, which are all stored underneath. I take out the scoring blade. All I have to do is flip up the top of my trimmer case, put in the blade housing, the scoring blade, and now I can score it right down the center. So if this was 2.5 inches and I want to score it in the center, you're going to score it at 1.25 inches. So put this down, press, score, and it's ready. Perfect for me. But before I put it away, I do want to put the straight blade back in because I will forget where it is and I want to store this underneath. So now I have my paper cut. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it in half. Got that? You're going to fold it in half. You're going to take the open edge. See how I fold it? That open edge is the edge I want into the punch. I don't want to put the folded side. I want to put that open side into that punch. And if you notice on the punch, there are these black lines on the front. The black lines show you where to start your paper. So when I'm putting my paper into that punch, just try to do it up in the air here. I want to make sure the edge of the paper is on the black line over here. And that will help me to know exactly where to start. It'll give me a great start. You can start it in the middle and do exactly as I did before for doing around the outside, starting in the middle and move it from side to side. But for this one, I'm going to try to start it as close to that black line as I can. I'm going to punch it. I'm going to move it down. Now remember, this is folded paper. Again, folded paper is a little thicker than your regular paper. So if you feel it get a little stuck, that is because your paper is a little thicker than you're planning. So I'm moving it down. And I am just covering the decor of my punched out piece with what's on that edge of the punch. So I move it down. And again, try to make sure that the edge of your paper is lined up exactly with the back of the wall from what you originally started. So if you started out a little tiny bit, make sure you're keeping it in the same area. Oh, I messed up in the back end, but you got the idea. And I'll do that again for you. So you can see the border punch moving. And you can see what I did. And I really did mess up. And the reason, and I didn't plan to, but I want to show you. Notice how close together my decoration is here. It almost looks like a little stained glass window underneath that edge. On the other edge, I have a really wide border in between where I punched. So that means what I did was I started punching different widths away from the edge. So we're going to start that over. just to show you what not to do. So again, you want a 2.5-inch strip. We're going to score it at 1.25. Again, just lift the top of the blade housing up, put it in at 1.25 inches. 1.25. Okay, now I'm going to fold it in half. And this time, as I'm cutting it, I want to make sure that the edge of my paper is up against the back wall of this border punch. And I noticed I started getting a little further and further away from that wall, not forgetting that I was supposed to be lining it up. So when I put this in, again, I'm going to try to start at that line. I'm going to make sure the open edge of my paper is up against the back wall of this border punch, and there's a little wall here which is almost like a paper guide, and that will give me that little notched edge so I can line up. And as I was doing the last one, I noticed there was no notched edge, and that was because my paper wasn't up against that wall. Keeping it up against that wall will give you the perfect lineup from one punch to the next, so that your flowers don't get messed up, so that every piece lines up with the next. So lining it up really does make a huge difference. Sure, all these. There we go. Last one. Big pile of mess here, but that's okay. We don't need confetti on the floor. I've got a lot of that already. So now I take that border. This is the border that it will punch. It's really pretty, just like that as on the edge of your papers. That would look so pretty on a page. But now that I've folded it and punched it, I have a cool new border that I can put on my pages. So pretty. And look how nice, by putting it right up against that back wall, look how nice the center of this looks together. So now when I'm doing a page, I can just take a solid piece of paper. I can add 3 or 4 pictures to it, and then I can take this border and put it down the edge, and it'll just give it such a different look. Really excited about this page, and I'm just pulling out some pictures that I just got from, I actually printed them through Creative Memories. So we're just gonna add a couple of pictures. Let's do this one to my page. And there you go. So simple, so easy, and you have this beautiful decorative border. So happy scrapbooking. I hope you guys all try this wonderful, I'm just gonna replace this wonderful new page. Try it, make it, post it on my site so I can see it as well. Alice's Scrapbooking Pals, which is a group page, and enjoy your day. Bye, happy scrapbooking.